While NeNe Leakes was pulling in over $2 million per season from Real Housewives, some of her co-stars across the franchise were literally down to their last $100. We're talking about women who appear on national television, living in mansions, but behind the scenes, they're getting eviction notices and bankruptcy papers. Today we're diving into the real financial stories of Real Housewives stars who went from glamorous to broke in a blink of an eye. Lynn Curtin. Let's start with Lynn Curtin from Real Housewives of Orange County, because her story perfectly shows how appearances can be deceiving. In 2013, court documents revealed that this woman had exactly $100 to her name. But here's where it gets really interesting. Lynn claimed she was spending only $515 per month total. Let me break down this budget for you. $150 on dining out, $115 for phone and internet, $50 on laundry, $100 on clothes, and $100 on entertainment. Now, she said, her jewellery business was bringing in $250 a month. That's $3,000 a year, which was about $8,000 below the poverty line at the time. Meanwhile, she owed $30,000 in back taxes from 2009, though she claimed those were her ex-husband Frank's responsibility. The most embarrassing part? Her daughters were served with an eviction notice while filming because Lynn wasn't home to receive it herself.
I'm here to serve an eviction notice. You've been served. Your mom and dad has been served. Thank you very much.
Viewers actually watched this play out on the show. Her financial troubles were a major factor in her divorce, as she accused Frank of hiding their true financial situation from her. NeNe Leakes. Now here's the plot twist that nobody saw coming. NeNe Leakes was reportedly making $2.7 million per season, more than any other housewife in the entire franchise. But even she couldn't escape financial drama. Back in December 2008, NeNe and her husband Greg got evicted from their 5-bedroom home for owing $6,000 in back rent. Now, $6,000 might not sound like much when you're making millions, but this was before her big payday years. NeNe tried to explain it away, saying it was some kind of lease purchase corporate deal between Greg and his company that went wrong. But wait, it gets better. Fast forward to 2016, it was at the peak of her career. She had just finished Dancing with the Stars, starred as the evil stepmother in Cinderella on Broadway, and launched her clothing line on the Home Shopping Network. This was supposed to be her golden year. Then the IRS dropped a bombshell. A tax lien for $824,000. That's over $800,000 in unpaid taxes from 2014 alone. The government basically said, pay up or we're taking your stuff. Instead of panicking, NeNe did what NeNe does best. She went on Twitter and served sarcasm. She tweeted, "Yes, I am broke and unemployed. Just another dumb celeb that doesn't know how to money manage." Then she added, "My priorities are all screwed up. I'm just a damn fool out here about to lose my house. Please start a GoFundMe." The woman turned her tax problems into comedy gold. Only NeNe could owe the government nearly $1 million and still find a way to make jokes about it on social media. Teresa Giudice's financial story became a criminal case that landed her in federal prison. Teresa and her husband Joe filed for bankruptcy, but they were accused of hiding assets. In July 2013, the Giudices were indicted on federal charges including conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, bank fraud, making false statements on loan applications, and bankruptcy fraud. Prosecutors allege they falsely inflated their income when applying for loans before becoming Bravo stars, then hid assets in their bankruptcy filing. Joe also allegedly failed to file taxes from 2004 through 2008. Despite initially pleading not guilty, both Teresa and Joe entered guilty pleas in March 2014. Teresa served 11 months in prison, while Joe was released in March 2019 after 41 months, but faced possible deportation. By June 2018, their bankruptcy was dismissed as they had paid off everyone except the IRS and New Jersey State Treasury, with current payment plans for their back taxes. Kim Richards. Kim Richards' financial problems were just one part of her larger struggles. The former child star turned Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Cast member owed over $118,000 in back taxes to California alone in 2018. The state placed liens on her for both 2013 and 2014. Her money troubles compounded when she was ordered to pay $266,000 in a settlement with a woman who sued after allegedly being bitten by Richards' pit bull. This came on top of her well-documented legal issues, including arrests for various charges. Richards was reportedly fired from Real Housewives in 2015, partly due to her substance abuse issues. Around that time, sources said she was living with her sister, Kathy Hilton, because she had nowhere else to go. One insider told Radar Online, "She has no place else to go, and no one in the family wants to loan her more money. If it wasn't for her family, Kim would be homeless." Sonja Morgan. Sonja Morgan's bankruptcy story reads like a Hollywood script gone wrong. In 2010, the Real Housewives of New York filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, claiming nearly $20 million in debt against $13.5 million in assets. The source of her financial trouble? A failed movie deal. Morgan alleged she had an agreement between her company, Sonja Productions, and Hannibal Pictures to make a John Travolta film called Fash Flash to Bank Time. When the movie never materialized, Morgan blamed Travolta's alleged diva demands. Hannibal Pictures sued Morgan, resulting in a $7 million judgment against her. With administrative fees, she said that judgment actually grew to around $9 million. To get back on her feet, she had to sell her properties in France and Colorado, but her legal troubles didn't end there. In December 2017, her bankruptcy attorneys sued her for allegedly not paying $350 in legal fees. That case was dismissed for lack of documentation, but different lawyers also sued her for $66,000 in another case that was dismissed on a technicality. She even put her $10 million Upper East Side townhouse on the market in 2017. Alexis Bellino. Alexis Bellino and her husband Jim learned the hard way that putting money into a house doesn't always pay off. They spent nearly $6 million renovating their Newport Beach mansion after buying it in 2007, then received a foreclosure notice in 2010. The couple defaulted on their $4.5 million home loan. When they tried to sell, they reduced the asking price from $4.99 million down to $3.6 million. But with interest and penalties, they still owed more than $4.6 million on the property. Jim's company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in December 2010. In his statement, Jim said, "To set the record straight, we have not filed bankruptcy," explaining that only the entity holding the house title filed for reorganization to protect the asset while they worked toward a resolution. The house was eventually listed as a short sale before they modified their loan terms. Kenya Moore. Kenya Moore from Real Housewives of Atlanta got hit with a reality check just weeks before giving birth to her daughter Brooklyn in 2018. The IRS slapped her with a tax lien for over $150,000. The lien was placed against her home, which she called Moore Manor. This meant that if she sold the property, the government would get their money before she saw a dime. Moore had already been considering moving, claiming the Atlanta property held too many memories of her ex-boyfriend, Matt Jordan. But her financial issues may have run deeper than just taxes. A source told Radar Online in 2014 that Moore was faking much of her wealth. The source claimed she had a local car dealership give her an expensive car on loan for publicity during filming, allowing her to appear wealthy while getting the dealership free press. Danielle Staub. Danielle Staub from Real Housewives of New Jersey filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection in June 2012. She listed $1.9 million in debts while reporting she only made $63,000 that year, $50,000 from appearing on VH1's Famous Food, and the rest from work with Dial a Star. Her debt breakdown was eye-opening. She owed $111,000 to the IRS, $70,000 in taxes to Wayne Township, and $5,000 in New Jersey state taxes. But what really stood out were her consumer debts, including a whopping $7,000 bill from Nordstrom, plus smaller amounts to Gap and Annie Says. Staub allegedly tried hiding assets during her bankruptcy case, but was caught and paid $35,000 to creditors in a settlement to avoid criminal charges. In July 2014, she was officially discharged from her $1.9 million bankruptcy debt, though she still had to pay her back taxes. What's clear from all these stories is that reality TV money doesn't always translate to real financial security. Bethany Frankel, who was already a successful businesswoman before joining Real Housewives, warned about this in a 2018 interview with Money magazine. She said of her less financially savvy peers, "They can't afford the lives they're living, and if the music stops, they're going to get in some trouble." For many of these women, the music did stop. Some managed to rebuild their finances, while others are still dealing with the consequences of living beyond their means during their reality TV heyday.